The books referenced in this video are 1. Chicago Manual of Style, 16th edition. 2. New Oxford Style Manual, Newhart's Rules, Oxford Style Guide. The information from the Chicago Manual of Style was discovered by Romley Stewart and Rohan Lorian. Search their videos also to learn more. First published in 1906, the indispensable reference for writers, editors, proofreaders, indexers, copywriters, designers, and publishers, has sold more than 1 million copies since publication of the 12th edition in 1969. Now, if you notice that designers are those that put together documents with many languages in different jurisdictions, whether there are 1, 2, or 3 languages on the same document, it will only be because each of the contracting parties of like kind are in agreement and given full consent. The New Oxford Style Manual states, the world's most trusted reference books, drawing on the unrivaled research and expertise of the Oxford Reference and Dictionaries departments. This volume is an essential part of every editor's and writer's toolkit. If we look in the contents of the Chicago Manual of Style book, we see the heading Foreign Languages in section 11 that starts on page 531. And when we turn to subsection 11.147 on page 576 of the Foreign Language section, we note the language is American Sign Language. Glosses in ASL. As some of us already know, a gloss means to conceal something, to hide, or to cover. This is what's written in the Chicago Manual of Style, 16th edition. 11.147. Glosses in ASL. The written language transcription of a sign is called a gloss. Glosses are words from the spoken language, written in small capital letters. Alternatively, regular capital letters may be used. When 2 or more written words are used to gloss a single sign, the glosses are separated by hyphens. The translation is enclosed in double quotation marks. The sign for "a car drove by" is written as. One obvious limitation of the use of glosses from the spoken written language to represent signs is that there is no one-to-one correspondence between the words or signs in any 2 languages. So, to break it down, if woman is written as in capital letters, or John Doe is written as in capital letters, then there is no one-to-one correspondence, meaning it does not say the same thing. Putting the emphasis on the word say, only because one of the words can be spoken as the English language or any other spoken language, and the other is a silent or muted language of a sign, symbol, gesture that cannot be spoken, only written, or reads as grammatically incorrect and grammatically deceptive to gloss over. Look at what it said. The translation is enclosed in double quotation marks. A car drove by. So the sign, which is a foreign language, is translated as a car drove by. That took us a bit of time to unravel also. One important piece of information that Romley and Lorian has not covered and spoken about is the section 11.149, fingerspelling. For proper nouns and other words borrowed from the spoken language, the signer may fingerspell the word using hand shapes from a manual alphabet. There are numerous fingerspelling alphabets used by different signed languages, among them the American Manual Alphabet. Fingerspelled words may be transcribed in any of the following ways. Just to add that another manual alphabet is BSL, which is the abbreviation for British Sign Language. So, as we see, is written in all capital letters, or it is written in all capital letters with hyphens between each letter. And lastly, there is in all lowercase letters with hyphens in between. Now, remembering that this is American and British Sign Language and a gloss, and we see evidence that there are 3 different ways how to write and to read John in sign language. Also, remembering that seeing the word John written in sign does not mean that it cannot be spoken due to being a silent language. As you notice that American Sign Language or British Sign Language has not put John in uppercase and lowercase, or John in all lowercase. We was wondering why this was. Our only interpretation is that with English grammar, it can be written, read and spoken as the English language and not a foreign language. We did a bit more research and looked in the Oxford Newhart's Rules under capitalization, and we did not find any reference to any capital letter words. But we did find this section, abbreviations and symbols. Abbreviations fall into 3 categories, strictly speaking. Only the first of these is technically an abbreviation, though the term loosely covers them all, and guidelines for their use overlap. So, the 3 categories are abbreviations, contractions, and acronyms. Abbreviations, in the strict sense, are formed by omitting the end of a word or words, lieutenant, association, etc. Contradictions are formed by omitting the middle of a word or words, doctor, limited, Mrs., street, etc. Acronyms are formed from the initial letters of words. Acronyms are sometimes defined specifically as words formed from the initial letters of other words and pronounced as words themselves. AWOL, absent without leave, away without leave, PIN, personal identification number. As opposed to 2 initialisms, which are formed from initial letters of words but not pronounced as words, BBC, QED, and so on. So we figure, if a word is taken up already in the dictionary, such as the animal ram, it can be spelled in English grammar in 2 ways. One way is in uppercase and lowercase, ram, and the other way is all lowercase, ram. depending on where you use the word. If you were to use the same word ram in all uppercase, then this would have to mean something other than the animal, due to it being an acronym, which stands for Random Access Memory, shown in an academic computer book. The only way an acronym can be written in all lowercase is when the word is the only word of its kind. For example, the word scuba is an acronym, meaning self-contained underwater breathing apparatus. And another word that can be written in all lowercase is laser, which stands for light amplification by stimulated emission of radiation. We did a little more research and found that the only languages that use the all capital letter words are Ancient Latin, Sign Language, and acronyms English Grammar. The only difference between Ancient Latin and Sign Language is that there are interpuncts in between each word. Interpuncts are dots in the center of the word in the space. For example, ignorance, of, the, law, is, no, excuse was used in Latin, but has not been used for over 200 years. Sign language, as we learned earlier, has hyphens in between. Legalese, the language in the legal profession, also uses the all capital words, but without any hyphens or interpuncts, which renders the text as Dog Latin or Law Latin, which is expressed in Black's Law Dictionary. Dog Latin in Black's Law Dictionary, the Latin of illiterate persons, Latin words put together on the English grammatical system. If you notice, there is a hyphen between the two words, and according to Chicago Manual of Style, 16th and 17th edition, this is known as American Sign Language. Law Latin in Black's Law Dictionary, the corrupt form of the Latin language employed in the Old English law books' legal proceedings. If you notice, there is no hyphen or interpunct. So to conclude, it is possible to read and write ASL and BSL, but it cannot be spoken, as it is a mute and silent language. It is possible to read, write and speak the English language. Words written in all capital letters can only exist in the spoken language as Latin or in English grammar as an acronym. It is possible for any word in the English spoken language written in all capital letters to be an acronym of one thing and to mean something else. For example, John can be spoken as an acronym because John means Just Over Harry's Nightclub. Just Over Harry's Nightclub could be a corporation and John is its logo. Why don't you take your name and create an acronym? Tell others what the meaning is if they write your name in all capital letters. Something to leave you with. In a speech of the Council of Constance in 1414, the Holy Roman Emperor Sigismund of Luxembourg happened to use the Latin word schisma, meaning schism. Unfortunately for him, he muddled up its gender. Schisma should be a neuter word, but he used it as if it were feminine. When the error was pointed out to him, Sigismund angrily proclaimed that because he was emperor, even if the word was neuter, which it would be feminine from now on. At which point, one member of the council supposedly stood and replied, Caesar non supra grammaticos, or the emperor is not above the grammarians. The phrase quickly became a popular proverbial defense of the importance of good grammar and spelling. Make sure to subscribe and click the bell to get incoming videos. Have fun and see you next time.